by what they've seen and the potential of this. And that's great, but now, at that point, what we find is that it's hard to actually start to translate that into, okay, tangible results on the ground. And the next wave of things that starts to happen in typical financial institutions is that people in the investments teams will become involved. They will look to make investments into fintech, which is great. Often they'll set some sort of a VC fund, and that's great. But that approach has also been done in other markets. It's been done a lot. It exists. It doesn't get you kind of over the edge of getting something to market. One of the other ideas that becomes very popular is the idea of setting up an accelerator or supporting an accelerator. And accelerators have their place, I think. But my observation of accelerators around the world is that they tend to attract very early stage firms that don't yet have a product. And it's great to get that energy, the enthusiasm, and to kind of help grow sort of early stage entrepreneurship. But if you look back a year after engaging an accelerator, building an accelerator, in many cases, you'll say, how many actual new products or lines of business rolled out as a result of that? And the answer is typically very few. So we think that a more profitable way of going ahead is to say, let's actually step back as a business, as a bank or an insurance company, and define what are the problems that you're seeking to solve. What are the customer groups? What are you hearing from your clients, from your segments of one? What are you trying to achieve? And take that and go look around the world for relevant fintech solutions. And we call that targeted sourcing. And we think that this is kind of the next wave of fintech collaboration. So moving on to the next slide. So let me elaborate a little bit about these innovation challenges, how they work and why we've seen them to be effective. So my clicker seems not to be working. An innovation challenge is essentially a very structured approach using open innovation principles where, as I said earlier, you start to define the problems that you want to solve and you go out to the world of fintech and you look for people who have already built a solution. What we found is that doing this yields quicker results in a shorter space of time. So instead of sort of the 6 to 12 months that you're spending on an accelerator, this could be done in sort of an 8 to 10 week period. But what's really key about this is that innovation challenges the kind of marketing benefit that an accelerator program also gives. But also we designed this based on our experience and my experience in running innovation inside a large bank. We've designed it so that it helps to build internal support for what we want to do better in the SME market, down to actually crystallizing it to saying, what are the problems you want to solve for which particular groups of customers? And once that exercise is done, we go out and find fintech solutions from around the world, from Israel, from Australia, not just the typical markets that people know about, but literally, all of the fintech hubs around the world. And that number is growing all the time. We invite people to apply, to bring back their solutions, and to tell us and to tell you why their solution is a good fit for the problems that you've identified. We go through a process of validating and shortlisting that involves not only our team, KPMG folks, but also people from your organizations in a way that actually, again, builds the support. We've designed it carefully so that it builds, everyone's getting their voices heard and they're having a chance to make a decision as to which ones will be going forward. And then finally, we end up selecting solutions, and the outcome of an innovation challenge is the selection of a few fintech firms that you move forward to proof of concept projects with. So that's a nice quote. We had when we did it with Barclays. That was great, actually. They ended up, their mandate was to find SME solutions for opening accounts on mobile devices. They wanted to start one POC. When they saw the results, they actually kicked off 3 proof of concept projects. You can just move to the next slide. Some other clients that we've done this with, I mentioned Sony. So Sony Bank was looking for smart authentication solutions. We've done this Liberty Life in South Africa recently on solutions that would actually help to onboard customers more quickly. Mauritius Commercial Bank, that was a few months earlier, that was very much about the credit process as well as the customer journey, and Barclays SME account opening. And so in all of these cases, it's just been a fascinating learning curve. Every time we've done this, what's been amazing to me is that we're attracting solutions not just from the known fintech hubs. We're often the ones that come forward and win are solutions that weren't known to many people. One of the solutions that moved forward with that Barclays project was a firm out of Boulder, Colorado, who had previously built their solution to help Mexican pension funds open up accounts for pensions using mobile devices. That solution was proven. It had 800,000 users already, and that was made it, and the fintech firm could easily customize that solution for Barclays' needs. So if we move on. So I've talked very specifically about innovation challenges, about ways in which we've developed an approach to help financial institutions find relevant solutions. But I want to talk a little bit about what are the characteristics from my experience and from my observation of innovation teams within financial institutions and the themselves that are more successful in this. And I think that linking back to one of the earlier questions, people said, how do you actually collaborate with industries outside of your own? I think that teams that I've seen where they get together with people in other industries tend to be more successful. But more importantly, they think a lot about long-run sort of changes in the markets that they serve. So it's not just about sort of the problems today. Those teams also look and say, how is our customer base changing over time? So the whole observation about millennials and how they engage with technology, that's kind of an observation that was made a little while ago, and people are engaging with that and saying, what does this mean for us? And they are using to inform their choices about product. At the same time, running innovation team had in the beginning that sort of drive that made them successful. But you want to partner with them. But time and again, what I've seen is that the partnering process